There's a moment, usually in the quietest part of the night, when you realize something about yourself. Maybe you're standing in your kitchen, the cold tiles pressing against your feet, waiting for the water to boil. You look around at the life you've built, the stainless steel appliances, the framed photos on the wall, the degree, the career, and for a split second, the curtain pulls back. You realize that you are a ghost in a very beautiful machine. You've done everything right. You've chased the goals. You've accumulated the thing, but there is a hollow ringing in your chest, a persistent, quiet ache that asks, is this it? Is this the whole story? We are taught that a good life is a full life, full of status, full of comfort, full of distraction, but we aren't taught what it means for a life to be meaningful. Tonight, I want to invite you to stop running, just for these few minutes. Let's look at that ache. Let's talk about the difference between being happy and being whole. I want to tell you about a woman I knew once. Let's call her Maya. Maya was a masterpiece of modern productivity. She moved through the world like a blade, sharp, efficient, focused. She had a high-rise apartment that looked like a magazine spread. Glass and chrome. Everything was in its place. I visited her once, and I remember feeling like I couldn't breathe. Not because the place was small, but because it was sterile. There was no dust, but there was also no life. She told me as we looked out over the city lights, I feel like I'm waiting for my life to begin. I keep waiting for the part where I finally feel like I've arrived. Maya was suffering from the someday sickness. Someday, when the promotion comes. Someday, when the house is paid off. Someday, when I have enough saved. She was living on a treadmill of achievement, but the treadmill wasn't going anywhere. She was terrified of the silence because, in the silence, she realized she didn't know who she was without her to-do list. She had built a perfect shell, but she had forgotten to live inside it. She wasn't searching for happiness. She was searching for a reason to be happy. Maya's struggle isn't hers alone. It belongs to all of us. We mistake the decoration of life for the foundation. There was another man, decades ago, who found himself in a place where everything was stripped away. No glass, no chrome, no status. His name was Viktor Frankl. He was a prominent psychiatrist in Vienna before he was sent to a Nazi concentration camp. In that place of absolute horror, he watched his friends, his colleagues, his family disappear into the smoke. He was reduced to a number. He observed something that changed the course of psychology. He noticed that the prisoners who survived, not just physically but spiritually, were not necessarily the strongest or the healthiest. They were the ones who had a why. For one man, it was a child waiting for him in a foreign country. For another, it was a book he had yet to finish writing. Frankl realized that humans are not driven by a will to pleasure or a will to power. We are driven by a will to meaning. He famously said that when we are no longer able to change a situation, we are challenged to change ourselves. Meaning wasn't a luxury for Frankl. It was a survival mechanism. It wasn't found in a grand achievement, but in the small, sacred decision of how to respond to suffering. He found meaning in the way a fellow prisoner shared a crust of bread. He found it in the memory of his wife's face. He proved that even in a vacuum of joy, meaning can exist. Why do we find it so hard to follow Frankl's lead? Why do we stay on Maya's treadmill instead? Neuroscience gives us a clue. Our brains are wired for dopamine. Dopamine is the chemical of more. It's the hit you get when you buy a new pair of shoes, get a like on a photo, or finish a task. But dopamine is fleeting. It's like a sugar rush. It leaves you hungrier than before. This is what psychologists call the hedonic treadmill. We run and run, thinking the next achievement will finally make us arrived. But our baseline of satisfaction never changes. Meaning, however, lives in a different part of the brain. It's associated with oxytocin and serotonin, the chemicals of connection, belonging, and long-term stability. Dopamine is about me. Meaning is about we. Meaning happens when we connect our small, individual lives to something larger than ourselves. It happens when we take on responsibility. You see, we've been sold a lie, that meaning is something you find, like a hidden treasure or a lucky break. But meaning isn't found. Meaning is built. It is a byproduct of how you engage with the world. If this resonates with you, if this feels like something you needed to hear today, you might want to like this episode or share it with someone who's quietly struggling. This is CognitoFlow. And moments like this are why we create this space. The truth is, your life doesn't need to be bigger to be more meaningful. It just needs to be deeper. So, what does that depth look like? If we stop running the treadmill, what do we actually do? Here are 3 realizations that change the shape of your days. Lesson 1. Meaning is a verb, not a noun. We think of meaning as a thing we possess, but meaning is an action. It is the act of paying attention. It is the act of being present for a friend's grief. It is the act of doing a job, even a mundane one, with the intention of helping someone else. You don't have a meaningful life. You live one, minute by minute. Lesson 2. Responsibility is the soil of meaning. We are told to avoid stress and avoid burden. But a life without burden is a life without weight. We need weight to stay grounded. Meaning is found in the people who count on you. It is found in the promises you keep. When you say, "I am responsible for this," your life suddenly gains a gravity that achievement can never give you. Lesson 3. Meaning lives in the gaps. We spend so much time focusing on the milestones, the weddings, the promotions, the graduations, but life happens in the gaps. It happens in the car ride home. It happens while you're folding laundry. A meaningful life is one where the ordinary is treated as sacred. Depth doesn't require a revolution. It requires a ritual. If you want to shift your identity from a ghost in the machine to a weaver of meaning, start with these tiny, microscopic habits. First, the nightly audit. Before you go to sleep tonight, don't ask, "Was I happy today?" That's too much pressure. Instead, ask, "Where was I useful today?" Maybe it was a kind word to a cashier. Maybe it was finishing a report that helped a colleague. Find one moment of service. Second, the 5-minute witness. Once a day, put your phone in another room. For 5 minutes, just look at the people you love, or look at a tree, or look at your own hands. Be a witness to the fact that you are alive, no goals, no output, just presence. Third, the sacred ordinary. Pick one chore you hate, washing the dishes, taking out the trash, and do it with total quiet focus. Treat the water on your hands as if it were holy. Practice being where your feet are. Consistency over intensity. Every single time. Moment of silence, reflection. Host, let's stop here for a moment. Take a slow breath. Feel the air enter your lungs. Feel the weight of your body in your chair or against the ground. Pause for 5 seconds. Think of one person who is better off because you exist. Don't think of a grand reason. Think of a small one. A smile, a shared joke, a moment you stayed when you wanted to leave. Let that sink in. That is your thread in the tapestry. To help you remember this when the world gets loud tomorrow, I want to give you a framework. It's the C.O.R.E. of a meaningful life. C is for contribution. What can I give today? Rather than what can I get? O is for observation. Can I see the beauty in the mundane? R is for responsibility. Who or what am I showing up for? E is for essence. Is this action aligned with who I actually am or who I'm pretending to be? C.O.R.E. One ultra-simple action for tomorrow. Find one person to help without telling anyone about it. We spend our lives waiting for the sun to come out, thinking that the light will finally show us the way. But meaning isn't the sun. Meaning is the candle you carry into the dark. You are not a consumer waiting to be satisfied. You are not a machine waiting to be optimized. You are a weaver. And every day, with every choice, every conversation, and every small act of kindness, you are weaving a thread into a grand, invisible tapestry. The ache in your chest isn't a sign that you are failing. It is a sign that you are human. It is the soul's way of reminding you that you are made for more than just comfort. You are made to matter. So tonight, as you drift towards sleep, or as you drive through the neon lights of the city, remember this. You don't find meaning in the way you want. You build meaning in the life you have. The treadmill is optional. The depth is waiting. Thank you for spending these moments with CognitoFlow. If this episode brought you clarity, feel free to like, share, or save it. Not for us, but for the version of you who needed this reminder. Until next time, stay aware, stay human, and keep flowing.